One of the most stressful moments in a VA home loan purchase is realizing you need to change lenders after the appraisal has already been ordered. And then the question that immediately follows is almost always the same. Do we have to start over? And emotions are high. The good news is this: VA appraisal rules are designed to protect the veteran, not trap them with a lender that they no longer want to work with. But how that protection works and what the real options are is often misunderstood. So let's slow this down and walk through what is actually happening when a veteran changes lenders during the VA loan process, how VA appraisals work in that situation, what can transfer, what might not, and how to avoid unnecessary delays. This is about clarity, control, and making sure veterans are able to use the benefits they earned without adding friction. This situation usually starts with good intentions. A veteran begins the loan process with one lender, gets pre-approved, moves forward, and the VA appraisal is ordered. Then something changes. Maybe a communication breakdown, maybe timeline slip, maybe the loan structure no longer makes sense, or maybe the veteran simply realizes that they're not getting the level of guidance that they expected. At that point, switching lenders feels like the right move, but the appraisal becomes a big question mark because VA appraisals aren't cheap. They can take time, and most borrowers are told early on that the appraisal is tied to the lender. And that statement is only partially true. And that partial truth is where the confusion lives. To understand what happens when a veteran changes lenders, you first need to understand who the VA appraisal is really for. A VA appraisal is not ordered for the lender, it's ordered for the veteran and for the Department of Veteran Affairs. So the purpose of the appraisal is to establish the notice of value, or NOV, and confirm that the property meets VA's minimum property requirements. Once that appraisal is completed and accepted by the VA system, it exists within the VA's framework, not just one lender's internal file. And that distinction matters because it's what allows the appraisal to follow the veteran if they decide to move their loan elsewhere. When a veteran switches lenders, one of the first things that they want to know is whether the appraisal can move with them. In almost all cases, it can. VA appraisals are transferable between lenders because the appraisal belongs to the veteran's VA loan case number, not the originating lender. So if a veteran changes lenders, they have the right to request that original lender transfer the appraisal to the new lender. This is done through the VA system, not by emailing PDFs back and forth. So once transferred, the new lender's VA authorized underwriter, or SAR, reviews the appraisal and issues a new notice of value under their responsibility. That process is specifically allowed under VA guidelines. It exists to protect veterans from having to pay for multiple appraisals simply because they change lenders. Now that said, just because something is allowed by the VA does not mean every lender handles it the same way. Now, just because something is allowed by the VA does not mean every lender handles it the same way. And this is usually where expectations need to be set clearly. So even though VA allows appraisal transfers, lenders are not required to accept the transferred appraisal if it doesn't meet their standards. Some lenders have internal policies that require a new appraisal anytime a loan starts fresh with them. And you got to understand that this is a lender level decision, not a VA rule. Now, reasons a lender might require a new appraisal include internal risk policies, quality control standards, timing concerns, or corporate overlays that go beyond VA minimum requirements. So in many cases, this decision has less to do with the veteran and more to do with consistency inside that lender's process. It's also important to understand that ordering a new appraisal is not automatically a negative signal. So sometimes if the original appraisal is close to expiration, includes multiple conditions, or was completed under different market circumstances, a new appraisal can actually reduce risk and prevent issues later in underwriting. This does not mean that the transferred appraisal is invalid. It simply means that particular lender has chosen not to rely on it. That's why veterans should always ask early whether a lender accepts transferred VA appraisals before switching. Thankfully, most of the time, this doesn't come up that often as an issue. When an appraisal transfers to a new lender, the work doesn't just pick up automatically. The new lender's staff appraisal reviewer, or SAR, must review the appraisal independently. They are responsible for confirming that the appraisal is complete, meets VA requirements, properly addresses any conditions or repairs, and still supports the notice of value. So this review is not just a rubber stamp. The SAR is legally responsible for the notice of value issued under their authority. So once that review is completed, the SAR issues a new notice of value tied to the new lender. And this step is critical. It's what officially allows the loan to move forward with the new lender. Until that happens, the appraisal cannot be used for underwriting. From there, the next thing that starts to matter is how long that appraisal is actually usable. Under VA guidelines, a notice of value is valid for 6 months. That 6-month clock starts when the NOV is issued, not when the appraisal is ordered and not when the loan closes. Here's the part many borrowers miss. If the veteran is under contract during that validity period, VA allows processing to continue through that specific transaction, even if the calendar passes the 6-month mark before closing. So that protection exists so veterans are not penalized for normal transaction delays once they're under contract. However, if the transaction is terminated or if the appraisal expires before a new contract is in place, the VA may require a new appraisal. This is why timing becomes especially important when switching lenders mid-process. In certain cases, VA may extend the validity period of an appraisal. So these extensions are reviewed on a case-by-case basis and are typically tied to prevailing market conditions or documented delays outside of the veteran's control. So extensions are not automatic and should never be assumed. They require justification and approval. This is one reason lender transitions should be handled carefully and promptly. The closer an appraisal is to expiration, the more strategic the decision-making needs to be. A clean transfer early in the process looks very different from one attempted at the edge of the validity window. Another important factor is whether the appraisal included required repairs or conditions. So if repairs were called out, those requirements follow the appraisal regardless of which lender is involved. A transferred appraisal does not reset or erase those conditions. The new lender will still need proof that the repairs were completed and cleared according to VA standards. So if repairs have not been completed, the new lender steps into that process and ensures compliance before closing. This is another reason why communication and documentation matter so much when transferring a VA appraisal. There are a few persistent myths that tend to cause panic in these situations. One is the idea that the appraisal belongs to the lender who ordered it. It doesn't. Another is the belief that switching lenders automatically means paying for a new appraisal. That's not always true and rarely is. And third is the assumption that the VA will block or delay a loan simply because the veteran chose to exercise their right to change lenders. And the truth is the VA does not penalize veterans for changing lenders at all. The system is designed to protect the veteran's benefit, not restrict it. So most issues come from misunderstanding the rules or waiting too long to address them. If you're a veteran thinking about changing lenders after an appraisal has been ordered, the smartest move is to ask a few questions early. Does the new lender accept transferred VA appraisals? How much time remains on the current notice of value? Are there outstanding appraisal conditions or repairs? If a new appraisal is required, what specifically triggered that decision? So these questions are protective and can help veterans understand their options, preserve momentum, and avoid surprises that could affect timing or cost. Not every lender handles VA loans the same way, and not every loan officer understands the nuances of VA appraisal transfers, validity periods, and SAR responsibility. Veterans deserve to work with professionals who know these rules cold, not someone learning them mid-transaction. That experience shows up in the moments like this, in knowing what's possible, in knowing what to ask, and in knowing how to prevent small issues from becoming big problems. Here's what matters most. VA appraisals are designed to follow the veteran, not the lender. They can transfer when a veteran changes lenders, provided the new lender accepts them and follows VA review procedures. So validity periods matter, contract timing matters, communication matters. And when those pieces are handled correctly, veterans stay in control of their transaction and their benefit. And that's exactly how it should be. If you're a veteran thinking about buying a home or you're already under contract and considering a lender change, this is a conversation worth having early. So if you want to understand how VA appraisals, transfers, validity periods affect your specific situation, use the link below to book a call with my team. Early conversations help prevent delays and protect the benefit that you earned. And if you want clear, reliable explanation about VA loan rules, appraisals, and the decisions that shape real home buying outcomes, make sure to hit that subscribe button. My goal is to help you make informed decisions with confidence and ultimately win with Wade. We'll see you next time.